Which infield prospects should you target in 2026? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Friday, December 12th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. Let's take a look at impact infield prospects for redraft leagues next season, minus shortstop. That was a mouthful. We talked about shortstops the other day, so we'll focus on mostly catchers and first basemen today.
I would say there are more infield prospects at shortstop than all the other infield positions combined. So yeah, it makes sense to section it off like that.
Let's start with Samuel Basallo from the Orioles. He's 21 years old, signed an 8-year, $67 million extension earlier this year. He made it to the bigs. He played 31 games. He didn't perform well, but clearly they like what they have in this player. There's a lot of power potential with him. Things did get muddied a little bit by Pete Alonso signing with the Orioles, but Scott, the point is, if Basallo hits, he's going to play.
Yeah, I think it comes down to that. They did sign him to that long-term deal, so it's not like they have service time considerations to make here. But between the acquisitions of Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward this offseason, there are a lot of bats for too few spots. There's Basallo, there's Dylan Beavers, there's Tyler O'Neill, Kobe Mayo, Ryan Mountcastle, 5. That's 5 names for 2 lineup spots. Now, I do think Basallo will have the edge. Again, he already signed the long-term deal, but he's got to perform. And the little bit he was up last year, he didn't perform. So helping his cause is that he can also serve as the backup catcher to Adley Rutschman. And now that first base is spoken for over the long haul with Alonso, I think it is much more likely that Basallo will retain that catcher eligibility. Not that he'll primarily be a catcher, but he'll play enough to remain catcher eligible in fantasy. And that might be the best case scenario for fantasy if he remains catcher eligible, but he's really more like a DH. Because then you're talking about Kyle Schwarber type upside as a hitter, but with that catcher eligibility still. But, just looking at 2026, let's hope he has a good spring, hits the ground running. Because if so, Basallo, even at a deep position now like catcher, would be well worth drafting in all leagues.
Let's talk about another catcher, Carter Jensen from the Royals, 22 years old, 3rd-round pick back in 2021. Also made it to the bigs where he flashed, hit 300, 3 homers, 941 OPS. Very small sample, only 20 games, but hit the ball extremely hard, both in the majors and in the minors. Looks like a very interesting bat for fantasy. Scott, how much do you think Carter Jensen plays here in 2026?
I think he plays a lot. I think he plays close to every day. I mean, that's basically how we saw it go at the end of last season. Once Jensen got called up, he and Salvador Perez alternated DH catcher enough that Jensen saw enough time at catcher that he retains eligibility there for fantasy, which is great. And as Salvador Perez has aged, we've seen him play catcher less and less. He's not that great back there defensively. Probably deserves to transition, take on more of the share at DH. And now that the Royals have another impact catcher bat in Carter Jensen, that seems more plausible. And yeah, I think it's an impact bat here in Jensen. He wasn't a big name prospect really until about the time he got promoted late last year, but you look at what he was doing at AAA, the exit velocities really stand out. At 94 mile per hour average exit velocity there. It actually went up 95.4 after he reached the majors. So that is as much hitting upside. Like that's as hard as just about anybody hits the ball, frankly, catcher or otherwise. Good plate discipline as well for Carter Jensen. Really excited about his potential, particularly if he's playing more often than the average catcher.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in FBT Express, looking at impact prospects in the infield. And next up, we have Sal Stewart of the Reds, who's 22 years old, a bat-first prospect who can hit for batting average, power. He could chip in some steals. He made it to the Reds late last season, played 18 games, hit 5 homers, tremendous exit velocities. Might profile as more of a DH, but, he can bounce around a little bit. Scott, I am in love with Sal Stewart heading into next season.
Yeah, I don't think playing time is going to be I say I don't think playing time is going to be an issue. It kind of was after he got called up last year. He was hitting the cover off the ball, and Terry Francona was still hesitant to put him in the lineup, but should be good enough to play at first base, has played second and third in the minors as well. And the bat is clearly ready for this opportunity. Took a big leap last year. Always had great hitterish qualities, did Sal Stewart. Good contact skills, good plate discipline. The power made a leap last year. And you mentioned the exit velocities. Averaged 93 miles per hour, peaked at 114 at AAA. So, yeah, we're talking about middle of the order power. And yet the contact skills didn't suffer with that leap in power for Sal Stewart. So I think he's very exciting. And I think, the Reds have a lot of cornermen already, and you just hope Francona makes the right choices. I think Stewart will force his hand, if not from opening day, then pretty soon thereafter.
Let's talk about Moises Ballesteros from the Cubs. He's 22 years old. We saw him make it to the majors last season as well. In 20 games, he hit .298 with 2 homers and .868 OPS. Great contact skills. He has some power as well. His problem is that he's pretty much a DH already. It would be better if he maintained catcher eligibility. He's util only on CBS. But, Scott, I like the bat here. I just don't love that he's already a DH, basically.
Yeah, he's a tough fit defensively. He's not a great catcher, and the Cubs have a couple pretty good options there already. Only pretty good, no great options, but a couple pretty good ones in Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya. And Ballesteros pretty much just played DH the little bit he was up last year. He'll begin DH only in CBS leagues. I am hopeful he'll pick up catcher eligibility again, sort of like in the scenario I laid out for Samuel Basallo. A good catcher, but if the only other choice is DH and they want to get him regular at-bats, which we're hearing the Cubs do want that for Ballesteros, then the best bet is for him to catch sometimes. Even if he's not great there defensively. First base doesn't really work for Ballesteros because he's so short. I don't think third base is in the discussion for him. I think it's really just DH or catcher. But he makes tons of contact, hits the ball hard. Swing's not really optimized for power, but I think the batting average will be high, and I think there will be enough power that even if he doesn't retain catcher eligibility, Ballesteros will be of interest in fantasy, maybe in kind of like a Victor Martinez sort of way.
Last name on this list is Bryce Eldridge from the Giants. He's 21 years old, a gargantuan human. He's 6'7", big power here. Also made it to the majors, only 10 games. He struck out 35% of the time. Not going to hold that against him, but he has struck out quite a bit in the minors as well. He should be splitting time with at first base and DH with Rafael Devers to start the season. We have heard some trade rumors involving Eldridge as well, but either way, it feels like there will be a spot for him either on the Giants or on some other team. That's Bryce Eldridge.
Yeah. It'll probably be the Giants, and it'll be interesting to see how how that good of a power bat, particularly hitting from the left side, plays at that stadium, which is always suppressed power, particularly from the left side. But the Giants haven't really built around big sluggers like Eldridge is. Not just the venue, but honestly, the profile gives me a little bit of trepidation here. I don't know that the downside is being factored in enough on conventional prospect lists. Yes, Eldridge could be a monster power hitter, and the fact he got to the majors at age 20, I think, is a good indicator of what kind of upside he has. But there haven't been a lot of 6'7" hitters who've succeeded in the majors for however much power they have. It's just not a very adjustable swing when your levers are that long. And we've seen Eldridge run high strikeout rates throughout the minors. So I don't think he's a can't miss prospect, but there is a ton of upside here, and he is already getting a chance at the majors. And so I think as a late round flyer, potential lottery ticket, he makes a lot of sense in 2026.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express. We will be back again next week. Bye-bye.